Hey there, sixth graders. Hope you had a good 4 days off. Nothing like jumping back into it with a little bit of math. If you would take out, Miss Kinzel should have for you a piece of paper that we're going to use at least for one of our notes today. And in top it should say polygons. Let me find it here. Just gotta pull up some stuff here. There we go. Yours should look a lot like this. I'm not sure if we've talked about polygons before. I'm sure we have. But if you take that piece of paper out and jot down these notes with me, somewhere here on that sheet for polygons, the first thing is the word polygon. You know, poly in math means many. And the word gon here would be sides. Okay, and for something to be a polygon, if something is a polygon, two things have to be true, children. Two things have to be true. Number one, it has to be made up of all straight lines. All straight lines, no curves. You can't have an arc. A polygon must be all straight lines. And thing number two is it must be what math people call closed. Okay, and the way I kind of like to describe this is this. If you have a shape, let's say my shape looks like this. It's got these sides, and it looks like that. Okay, this shape would not be closed. If you think about that there were little ants inside this shape, and if those little ants could escape out some opening in that shape, it is not closed. For something to be closed, it means there are no gaps between the sides. In other words, boom, it would have to look like this. There's no way for the little ants to get out of the little building here. They would just keep running into the walls and the sides. So two things to be a polygon: must be all straight lines and must be closed. So I went to great trouble here to copy you down these things about, you know, some of the generic common polygons. There are more than this, but these are the ones. This comes right out of your book. So notice that a three-sided shape is called a triangle. A four-sided shape, ladies and gentlemen, is not called a rectangle. A rectangle is a four-sided shape, but the actual mathematical name of a four-sided shape is a quadrilateral. Five-sided shape is a pentagon. A six-sided shape is a hexagon, and an eight-sided shape there is an octagon. There are other names for the other ones, but those are the ones that you need to know. And make sure the other thing the book kind of points out in this is the place where the little points of polygons, one of them is called a vertex. And if you make a plural of vertex, it is vertices. Vertices. Okay, so just make sure that, like, for example, this hexagon has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 vertices. This pentagon has 5 and 4. Actually, it has the number of sides seems to be the same number of vertices that something has. Okay, now I do need you to take out a blank piece of paper. Give you a second to do that, and on that blank piece of paper, you need to, if we haven't talked about this, all right, just write the word regular. Regular. Okay. In math, when we talk about a regular something, for example, let's call, if something says a regular pentagon, a regular pentagon. Regular, boys and girls, regular simply means that all the sides are equal. All sides are equal. Okay, that means if it was a regular pentagon, because I can't draw with this thing very well, I'm actually going to use my little thing here to draw you one here. Okay. Oh, look, there's one. Let's make the middle. Let's make the middle not colored in so it actually looks like a line-shaped pentagon. Okay, so there is a regular pentagon. And in math, when we show that things are equal as far as shapes go, we a lot of times put these little hash tick marks in there. Now this is important because, write down this example problem, a regular pentagon has a perimeter of 30 inches. How long is each side? Question mark. Okay. This will be a problem that the book will give you. And of course, you all know from past experience, Grayson, Ben, James, Sam, if it tells you something like this, your first step is to sketch it out. So we've got our pentagon, and we'll try to draw it as a regular one. Not very good. Okay, but each one of these is equal if the total perimeter equals 30 inches, and you know it has 5 completely equal sides. That means if you take 30 and divide it by 5, you are going to get how long each side is. And there it is. Each side would be 6 inches long. 6 inches long. So please, please, please pay attention to that word regular. Remember, if it didn't say it was regular and it was a pentagon, you know, a pentagon that might not necessarily be regular just simply has to have 5 sides. So I could go 1 side, 2 sides. All right, let me try that again. I could go 1 side, 2 side, 3 side, 4 side, and 5 side. This is a pentagon, but it is not a regular pentagon. A regular pentagon would have to look like this. Now, unless you thought you were done, we have one more piece of note paper to do. One more piece of note paper. And on top of this piece of note paper, you are going to write the word congruent. Congruent. Poof. Congruent. And the word congruent in math means exactly the same size and shape. Okay, which would mean if I have, let me pick a different shape here. How about a hexagon? In order for 2 hexagons to be the same, okay, in order for 2 hexagons to be the same, don't worry, I'll get there eventually, okay, it would have to be exactly the same. Those 2 shapes, these 2 things right here, this and this, are congruent. And the important thing to remember about congruent shapes would be this, that congruent shapes have the same angles in them. And that means that this angle would equal this angle would equal that angle. And they also have the same sides as far as the distance of the sides, or the lengths of the sides. So this side and this side would be the same length. And those you'd have to be, when you talk about that, you have to talk about the corresponding sides. Okay, corresponding sides, the ones that match up. because, let me give you an example of that. You know, if you had two rectangles, and again, I'm going to pull out, I'm going to pull this out here. You know, if you have a rectangle that looks like this, and another congruent rectangle, you know, and even if it was, let's say it was spun like this, spun just a little bit there. Okay, when we talk about what sides would be equal, well, obviously this side is a corresponding or equal side to that side because it matches up. If this is 5 inches, this side would be 5 inches. If this was, I don't know, 1 inch, this side would be 1 inch. So corresponding shapes mean they're exactly the same. They could be rotated, but they're exactly the same. And they have the same angles. You know, this angle would match up with this angle, and they would be the same. So that, ladies and gentlemen, I believe is the whole spiel on polygons. Again, remember, anytime you see the word pentagon, hexagon, quadrilateral, triangle, that would mean you're probably drawing something on your paper. Not that we haven't talked about that multiple times, but hopefully someday it will all sink into you. So thank you for listening, and have yourselves a great rest of your day.